but we have to talk about the Edmonton Oilers because it's too much not to talk about. I was talking to our boy, mutual friend Max, Josh Egan, Josh of Offside Hockey Talk, and he said, "Yeah, we had the Oilers for a short 15-minute segment scheduled for our show last week, and it went for 57 minutes." So another one of those teams. I'm pretty sure if you just said any team in Canada, go, Canadians could probably spend a good 45 minutes on every team. But Edmonton will try to wrap it up because basically it was highlighted, and I'll let you talk for a bit so I can try to find this clip, Max. It was highlighted by the Leon Draisaitl clip that everyone is talking about today. Max, are you team Leon or team Jim when it comes to the Leon Draisaitl debacle today?
Oh, I'm team Leon, man, all the way. At the end of the day, I understand these guys got a job to do, but I think I literally said it word for you. A good rapport with players makes a good reporter. And unfortunately, it's clear that Jim Matheson, this isn't the first time that he's ruffled the feathers of Leon Draisaitl. And when you're continuing to go at a guy when the struggles of the team are very, very public, and they're every single day must be a battle to show up to the rink for these guys right now. Literally, the scrutiny must just weigh like 1,000,000 pounds on every single one of these guys' shoulders. Leon's a guy that wears his heart on his sleeve, and I think that's one of the things that is a great thing about him. It's what makes him an elite hockey player in this league. So when it comes to, again, Jim Matheson and the comments that he had made today, again, what kind of response was he expecting? Really? The team's 2-6-2 in their last 10. They were in first place, not just in the division, but in the entire NHL on December 1st. Here we are literally 6 weeks later, and they are just clinging to the hope of even making the playoffs. And again, another team that we talk about in Montreal that is a little bit cap-strapped. This is a team that, again, featuring two of, if not the two best players in the NHL. Elliot Friedman has said it time and time again on 32 Thoughts, the podcast, as well as the Jeff Merrick show. Missing the playoffs for the Edmonton Oilers is simply not an option this year. It very well could happen. The world's not going to stop if the Edmonton Oilers don't make the playoffs, but it's certainly going to feel like it's going to in Edmonton.
Especially after that start. You got to be better. You got to do better.
But again, we look at this team, though, right? They are flawed fundamentally. We talked about it. The goaltending wasn't going to hold up. Look at that. Mike Smith back in, again, as Jeff Merrick says, the hospital bracelet tour, this time with a thumb injury. So who knows how long he's out. Mikko Koskinen's simply not going to be the guy. And with a 3-1 lead against Ottawa, Stuart Skinner proved that he might possibly not be the guy as he now heads to the COVID list. This team just continues to be battered by adversity after adversity. I don't know, man. They're going to be a very interesting team to watch come the trade deadline because Ken Holland's going to have to get creative for them to even have a chance of making the playoffs. Because we talk about the Pacific Division as a whole, there's some teams that are surprising. Anaheim's in it. San Jose has all of a sudden climbed in it after their disastrous season last year. There's just so many things going against the Edmonton Oilers right now. And in a pressure-packed market, arguably the most pressure-packed market on this side of the country anyways, it's not going to go well if the Oilers miss the playoffs. And the guy that, again, in the subject of all the comments today, that guy might be looking for his way out of town pretty soon. Everybody talks about Connor and what the shelf life is for Connor. Leon Draisaitl is a pretty elite player too, and they're going to have to find a creative solution to either get as many assets as you possibly can for that man, or look at him potentially eroding some of his trade value and requesting a trade in the offseason. Because I guarantee you, based on his level of tolerance right now with members of the media as well as his teammates, that he's holding up his end of the bargain. It's certainly not on Leon Draisaitl as to why the struggles are so, I guess, exponentially high right now. But man, oh man, this team's got to figure it out, and they got to figure it out quick.
Absolutely. We got Janelle checking in, our good friend Janelle Barkman. She says, "Hey, my boys, missing the blue lights." Here's the thing, Janelle. The blue lights are on. It's just really hard with this particular computer. It doesn't like picking up the light very good. So if you check over on TikTok, it's very clearly blue, but it doesn't show up very good on this particular laptop for whatever reason. Either way, they're on. We got John checking in. Maybe Price can get moved to Edmonton. The problem is their goaltending. The problem is that they don't have room to add a Carey Price, and it'd be way too expensive. Plus, his health status. Carey Price has
also had a hiccup in his rehab. He's not coming back this year.
He's not coming back. Like that's the report, John, is that Carey Price had basically a big setback in his rehab, and he's out. Like he's going to be out for a while. So, and here's the thing: even if he wasn't, let's say he was on track to come back, he hasn't played a game in like 8 months. How do we expect him to just come back and all of a sudden be perfect already? And then you get him into a pressure cooker like Edmonton. Maybe he has a few bad games, and all of a sudden they're right back to where they started. That's no guarantee that it's just going to fix every problem. But either way, Fleury, a lot of people are saying that Marc-Andre Fleury could be the option. That's been a rumor for a while. Again, his contract isn't super trade friendly. They could make it work, I'm sure. But there'd be a lot of hoops to jump through with that too. I maintain that if Mike Smith gets healthy and stays healthy for a while and just gets a few more games under his belt, that they might be able to rein it back in a little bit. I know you're shaking your head, Max.
Not happening, man.
He put up great.
You want to go back to the Mike Smith train? There's
I know.
not much there, man. There's no gas left in that tank, and when there is, you got to stop every 2 stops just to get a couple of healthy games out of him.
I hear
just not there. It's unfortunately the option that they have kind of, I guess, hitched their wagon to. Yeah. But again, that was and they gave him a multi-year deal too.
I know.
Like this team just seemingly cannot get out of their own way, especially when it comes to identifying what their core needs are, especially in the offseason, and really going out and attacking them in a pragmatic way, right? This is where, again, Ken Holland tied his own hands here with the whole Mike Smith thing. This is just entirely on their own doing, and it's not going to get a lot better, I don't think, if he's the guy between the pipes, unfortunately. Mike Smith, great career. Yes. The best days are clearly behind him.
I hear you on that. I guess part of that is had he been healthy all year, I wonder how different it would have been, I guess, is kind of my main thought process. Now that he's been hurt so much, it's going to be really hard for him to get back on track. But had he been healthy and playing like he did last year, or too close to that anyways, I wonder how different their season would have gone so far. But I agree with you. It's really tough right now, the situation that they're in. And you look back at some of their offseason moves, losing Adam Larson, I think bigger than a lot of people are giving credit to. Trading Ethan Bear, I think bigger than a lot of people are giving credit to. And then, bringing in Duncan Keith, I don't think he's comparable. We've seen enough now. I don't think we can say he's defensively comparable to what Larson was bringing in. A lot of people said Larson wasn't very good. But now look at it. I think they're missing him. I think he had a big role in that team. I think they're missing him. Ethan Bear, too. I know that he made some mistakes last year. But, man, that guy played a role in that team, and I think they're missing him.
Age, I think the other thing too, right? You look at it, and it seemed like in a lot of these transactions that they made, they traded away. They traded away an asset to fill another hole that just left them with a hole. They didn't get any better from trading Ethan Bear, a younger defenseman, for who was the guy they got back?
Warren Fogle.
Warren Fogle. Again, the issues with this team, and I think the other thing too, surface level wise, it's very easy to pick on the goaltending. Absolutely, they need an extra save every now and again to change the result in some of these games. But this goes beyond the goaltending. This is depth forwards. Yes. You look at the sweep last year at the hands of the Winnipeg Jets. They couldn't trust any forwards beyond their top 6.
Right.
And when you simply just can't rely on 2 guys. This, again, we go back to what we talked about last show. This isn't basketball. You can't rely on 2 guys for 60 minutes a night to get it done for you in the kind of game that the NHL is and the sport that hockey is as a whole. So, right. I mean, you look at this and you're like, hey, we've got like 4 or 5 really big needs to fill on this team to make us a true contender. And then we go back to the issue of, okay, missing the playoffs isn't an option, but okay, so you're going to really hurt the future of your franchise just to get in this year, just to have a chance at it? Again, I don't think that pragmatically makes a lot of sense either. I think the Oilers are really stuck between a rock and a hard place. It's been the same rock and a hard place that they've been in for multiple seasons now. It's just, when does it end with them?
I understand the thought process behind the Ethan Bear, Warren Fogle trade. I get it, because they had, Evan Bouchard. Well, I still do. They have him. They have Philip Broberg. They have Dmitry Samorukov. So, they have some young defensemen in Edmonton. And I understand, if you could trade from a perceived prospect strength to get a forward who you said, maybe could help with that secondary scoring and those extra forwards that they needed. I get it. I don't know. I mean, hindsight's 20/20 on that one, I think.